What up, dude?
What up? It's Stuart Day.
Merry Christmas to you.
You too, my friend. Yeah, dude, we're like right there. Let's probably get some Christmas shopping done.
It's funny you say that. I have done very little. So
Yeah,
this podcast is coming out after Christmas, but we're recording it before Christmas, 2 days before Christmas.
2 days before Christmas.
And you haven't done any shopping for Christmas yet?
I've done very little, but my wife is amazing, and she usually handles the brunt of the gifts, which is I am extremely grateful for. As are my children on Christmas morning, because it would be a problem otherwise.
Yeah, it's the exact same in my house. I do very little contribution to choosing gifts and purchasing gifts. And I know my wife would like for me to be more involved in that, but it's just not my strong suit.
Would she though? Like, I'm curious. Would she really like you to be more involved in it?
Yeah, she says she does. She says she wants me to be more involved in it, but as soon
I
as I
think
give
she
my
would think.
thoughts and input,
Yeah,
she just axes it.
I think she would think. I don't think she would want. I don't know. I obviously don't live in your household, but I know you both pretty well, and my
Yeah.
guess is that she wants. She likes the idea of you helping
Yeah.
with the Christmas shopping, but I don't.
I think
Something tells me.
I think Christmas would look very, very different if I was 100% responsible for doing Christmas. There'd be probably a half to a third, or maybe even a quarter of the wrapped presents underneath the tree.
All the traditions would change. Like, just gifts are left out, and yeah, things would probably be a little bit different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a huge dad fail for like kind of Christmas season the other day. We were doing these, like, kindness things, and we were gonna make some cookies and give out to our neighbors, and um, I failed to remember that my son is allergic to eggs, and so yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's a dad fail.
I mean, I was just looking through the recipe, doing the thing. We were making cookies together, having fun time with the Christmas carols in the background, and made the cookies, and gave my son a bite of one. And then Crystal was like, "Hey, what's in that?" I was like, "Oh, it's egg." I was like, "Oh, wait." Thankfully, he didn't eat a ton. He just had like a bite of one, because I wasn't going to let him chow down on cookies at like 10 a.m. But yeah, so we have a whole batch of cookies that he can't eat, which is awesome for a 4-year-old.
So did he have a reaction or no?
Yeah, I mean, he broke out just a little bit on his face, and he said his tummy hurt. So we've been giving all those cookies away to our neighbors and trash man and mailman, and
That was convenient, man. It was
yeah,
convenient. You did it for kindness anyways.
that's right.
Yeah, our kindness journey has been somewhat of a fail in general. One, because my kids treat each other like garbage, and there's not a lot of kindness there. But man, with this huge transition, in which we're going to talk about some of this stuff, it's been like nuts. And then we did the whole. Erica's had the kids by herself for 6 months now, and then uh, actually a week ago, we did the pack out and Maryland, and then did the change of command, all that kind of stuff, retirement, pack out. I got here, excuse me, and then Erica immediately. Well, we received our household goods like 2 days later, which was awesome. But our house is just a complete disaster area. And then Erica had to get knee surgery on Monday, and it's just been like bam, 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 bam. So our kindness journey we've not been very diligent. So we're gonna have to But I think what I would like to do is incorporate that into like a family tradition on like a daily basis, like pull these cards. I mean, there's like 365 of those cards, I think, anyways, and just do something um where we're actively like, you know, making it just a part of our daily battle rhythm. I think that there's some awesomeness there too. But then I had a life fail too, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
life
And this
fail.
is this is a
Okay.
warning for all of you people getting older out there.
Mm.
I as we're gonna talk about, we're at our 20-year mark, so we're old dudes, but old dude things happen to old dudes, right? And so
Yeah.
like some back pains and knee pains. And I got I had never used this stuff before, but the doctor prescribed me, I don't even know if it's a prescription, gave me a tube of like this back pepper based rub something or other. I don't know. It's a cream. I can't
Kind of
remember.
like a icy hot or something like that.
Yeah, it was called like Kai something. I don't know. Someone out, I'm sure someone out there's like, dude, yeah, it's the whatever cream. But I think it's got like some of the similar ingredients as like pepper spray.
Oh,
I didn't know this, never used it. I'm like, man, my back hurts. Rub it on my back, slather it on, and of course, more is better, right? Like
yeah, of course.
that's until it comes to like flesh burns. And so I get in my car, start driving, and my back and my shirt and the seat and kind of all that heat started activating this cream. And dude, I'm like 3 miles down the road, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And I start like getting uncomfortable. I'm rocking on my car seat. I'm like, dude, this is not good. I was literally thinking about pulling over and finding a hose and just like shooting water on my back. I'm like, I can do this. I can do this. And it was not going away. It was getting worse and worse. And then my back, because of all the heat, started sweating. And so this, so the sweat serves as a displacement, this cream displacement, down further my back towards my butt. And dude, so my butt started getting hot, and I was so uncomfortable. I think I was going to
Oh,
like a
dude.
restaurant. I was meeting somebody to go have a conversation, have a coffee or something. And man, by the time I got out of my car, my back, my butt cheeks, like I was on fire, dude. It was the worst. It was terrible. I will never use that cream again. Whatever that cream is called that the Navy doctors give you, F that cream. That cream is horrible. I
I
had a
could
life failure.
I could just imagine like me as a third party innocent bystander, like driving down the road and like looking over and seeing you on the side of the road, like shedding clothes, like pouring water down your back, like just like freaking out.
In
Uh,
distress, man. In
that'd be pretty
distress.
awesome.
Yeah, man, it was bad. It was so I only highlight that to highlight that there's to give you fair warning for those of you experiencing some older dude pains in your back and stuff. But be careful what you put on your back and how
Don't
much
use
you put
the
on.
cayenne pepper rub.
The cayenne pepper rub, whatever it's called, that stuff will jack you up. And then I started thinking, which is maybe bad too. I was like, I wonder if I could use this as like a motivation tool for my children. I don't know. And mine starts going different places because I mean, there's got to be some use for it. But
Mm,
I didn't feel better at all. I felt way worse,
nice.
way worse. So anyway,
It's a good
I
story,
don't know if
man.
it's as bad as giving my kid an allergic reaction, but I gave
Yeah.
myself an allergic reaction on my back.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
butt cheeks were
Your
on
butt
fire.
cheeks. It's good, man. It's good.
Mhm.
Well, what are we talking about today?
I'm pretty sure not that.
Not that.
We're not talking about that. But as we have been, reflecting on the year and as we look to transition forward, we just want to have a conversation about just some of the things, some of our unique challenges, some of the things that we're looking as we transition, some of our efforts that we're intentionally employing to assess the past and look forward to the future. And And obviously there's a lot of our listeners are military folks, and as they look for it. And even if you're not military, if there's at some point in your life, you're going to have a significant transition, whether that's, you have a kid, you move, you change jobs, whatever it is, there's going to be these periods of significant transition. At least that's my hope for you. Cause if we're just kind of cruising along in life, I think that's, there's a lack of fulfillment there, but the change, change, people are afraid of change. And I think there's some power to change, and there's some beauty to change. And it reminds me of a quote. I'll have to see if I can pull it up while you're talking, but the whole process, I think, requires, it's maybe not requires, but it deserves some serious reflection, and that reflection hopefully will then turn into action. And as you move forward, gives you more clarity through the process, through the exercise. And as you do it more and more, hopefully you get better and better at it. And ultimately you get more fulfillment and achieve your highest and best, because you've actually taken the time to reflect on some of these things before you hit go and move into the future. So we're going to talk about some of these things.
Yeah, man. Yeah, dude. I think it's really good to like do, just kind of take some time and do an honest, like deep look at where your time has gone, where your year has gone, and reflect on that, and really kind of like look back with courage and see what's happened, and give some, it gives really some insight to fuel kind of your next year, your next move, so you can kind of be prepared for that big change or some big goals that you have in mind. So it's always good to like look back and see what happened, and then take that, and then move forward with how you're going to react to that. So um, I've been doing quite a bit, and we've both been doing quite a bit of it. I think you've been a little bit more busy with the Navy stuff, as as the commanding officer, and focusing on the change of command, and finishing up that uh, that chapter of your life, and then the big move from Maryland back to Colorado. I've been fortunate to be uh, stationed at the last place that I planned on being, so the move wasn't a challenge for me. But I have gotten a little bit of an insight of what it looks like, the transition from being a full-time W-2 employee as a military guy to the now a full-time entrepreneur, like working for myself, and working on my own schedule, and having that time to, and the freedom, which is what we're looking for. But there's also some challenges in that, and there's some stuff that I honestly wasn't really expecting to be a challenge, but it has been. So um, we got plugged in this year to another group. And we've talked about it, the Life and Air group, and I've started doing some coaching calls, and I've done some exercises that we'll talk about here that have been really good for me. And but I haven't figured it all out yet for sure, and I think there's gonna be some challenges there. So um, I don't know, man. What do you have on your mind? Like what's been kind of weighing heavily on what you've been looking at and what you've been reflecting on?
Yeah, we obviously with the business that we've been running for the last couple of years, Storehouse 310 Ventures, there's elements there. And as we assess, and I think it's fair to assess what you want to be doing. I think there's, as we're looking to fully transition, we've really had to take a step and say, okay, is this, these elements of the business, do we like this? Do we want to do this? Do we want to develop this? Do we want to spend our time here? Have we, how have we done the last 3 years? And there's a lot of reflection there, which will cause, which will lead to some changes here in the future. But it also enables us to be able to really assess what we want to do in Colorado. And as we look forward, we're really looking at, I think, when you, to answer your question, I don't stress a lot. Like I'm not a stress kind of guy. That's not usually the way that I'm built, but there is a bit of, um, there's a bit of, uh, you know, I mean, there is an element of stress to something like a significant life change, like going from 20 years of military service to, full-time entrepreneurship. And while I'm very excited about that, I'm extremely excited about what we're going to do in the future, and we have some awesome ideas that we're going to pursue and at least try out and see where we're uniquely gifted and potentially what the businesses will look like that we want to develop in the future. But I think it's really important to address those stressors and to really spend time. I mean, to spend time, because I can easily see how people get wrapped into looking at the immediacy of tasks within a business. Like, well, we have this debt, we have to pay this debt off, or there's these specific houses that we're in the middle of the project, so let's like focus on these things, and you lose the forest for the trees, right? You lose the long-term vision, the long-term goal, even what you want to do, your highest and best potentially for the immediate future. And you almost fall into you can easily be task saturated. And so you fall into this checklist mentality of, let's check these tasks. Well, the tasks are never going to stop, right? They're never ever going to stop. And if you don't take a step back and assess, okay, where do I want to be in, like, 1, 3, 5, 10 years, then those tasks will easily distract and carry you for the next 1, 3, 5, 10 years. And you'll find yourself in 10 years waking up to a task list that is driving your life, and you're just reacting to that. And we didn't want to be in that situation. So we've been doing some assessing, but the stress that comes with that is, okay, what do I really want to be when I grow up? And I think there's some, for me, the stressors for me, I think, are different than they are for you. And for me, it's, I like to have a vision, that 10-year vision, because I'm a kind of a big picture guy. So I like to have, for me, when I was doing Navy, that at some point I was like, okay, no desire to be an O6. Okay, well, what do I desire? But it started at no desire to be an admiral, whether or not that was a possibility, or that I knew I did not want to do that. And then I was like, okay, well, do I want to be an O6? Not really. Do I want to be a CO? Yeah, I think I like that. And do I want to be an O5? Yes. Do I want to retire 20? Yes. Okay, cool. I have this big, and this was, years ago, probably when I was stationed here. And I was looking at that like, okay, very roughly, I want to go to 20 years. We want to retire. I want to be a commander, and I want to potentially be a CO. Well, that's a big vision, and you can now backwards plan from that. I,
Yeah, and
I would say
there's a path to that. Like,
right,
there's somewhat of a known path in the military to get you to that.
right. And you can easily deviate from that,
Sure.
and be happy to, if the other things are important to me, like, hey, I want to be stationed in DC only and never want to leave, then I can be happy with being an O4, retire at 20. And I mean, there's a lot of different things you can do. My brother's going through this right now. We've been talking back and forth, and my questions to him are, well, dude, what's important to you? Like, in 20 years, no, for him now it's going to be 6 years. I was like, but in 6 years, when you look back, the only place you don't want to be is regret. Like, that's where you don't want to be. So if it's important to you to be a CO, then there's going to be sacrifices for that. And if you want to be an O5, there's sacrifices for that. If you love San Diego, then and you'll have more regrets moving the family to DC to achieve this O5 thing. Then, like, those are the considerations that you have to weigh out. But I feel like a lot of people don't. The more people I talk to, and not my brother necessarily, I think he has a pretty clear path, but the more people I talk to, dude, I'm telling you, man, like, I feel like that I, that people don't think that way. And I'm not saying that I'm special, that I think in big picture and long term, because the downside to that, just like anything, is that sometimes, I'll make decisions that are maybe not the best in the immediate future, because I have this vision for the long term, and I'm trying to get to that. And so, like, there's always there's pluses and minuses to everybody, but my natural inclination when I'm talking to people, I'm always going out, right? I'm always, and you know this, when we're talking, I'm like, okay, well, you're like, well, we got to do this, this, and this. I'm like, cool, concur, but do we want to be doing that, that, and that in the future? And I think that's where you and I are really, we our decision making process is really good because we have both those elements to bounce off each other. So all that's a long answer to say that there are stressors looking in the future, and what's on my mind is has been a lot of that, and a lot of our conversations have been like I'm constantly driving us out to the future, and you're focused on getting us out of the present, also looking forward. You're looking forward, but it's there's a rub there, and I think we're coming up with a pretty good plan. But again, we don't have it yet, to be completely honest, right? To be completely frank, like we know what we're going to be doing here in the immediate future. Get with our real estate license, we're being very intentional in the things we're going to do, and we have an idea. But I find discomfort in not having that, like, and even if the goal is crazy big, like I would feel more comfortable if I were to say right now, well, my goal in 10 years is to be the president of the United States. Well, like a lot of people look at it and be like, president of the United States, that's freaking crazy. Like, but that's, that's, but for me, I feel more comfort and be like, okay, well, that's my goal. That's my big goal. I'm gonna drive towards that. I feel more comfortable in that than being in this phase of like, where do we really want to be in 10 years? So that's kind of where I'm at. And that quote, just to, I found it, I had it in a place that I look at often, but it, it said, there's no growth without change. There is no change without loss. There is no loss without grief. There is no grief without pain. A person who wants to grow and be better will experience pain. And I think that's it's a great quote for us, because even if we're extremely excited to be out of the Navy, there's an element of, I don't know if it's pain or sadness, or you leave something behind. Your entire lifestyle is going away and you're going to something new. But to have that focus of, well, but what I'm going towards is going to be better for us. You know what I mean? And so I think there's a lot of excitement in that. But you hit on something, and I want to address that. And I think one of the best things we can do, because everybody's at some point, they're at some point where they're, if it's military or transitioning, they're if it's military, they're getting out at some point. So coaching, this coaching thing, I think is worth its weight in gold. And if whatever that looks like to you, whether it's you get a mentor and who's years ahead of you and you're really plugging in with them, or you get someone like we've got and you become part of a group that's going to coach you, that is invaluable to this process. And it may also lead you to change in places you never even realized you're going to change, or you need to change, or you wanted to change. People can draw that out of you. And I'm just curious, from your recent experience with the coaching element, because I think it's so important. Would you say that it's been, how would you rate that in as important as you look at a transition looking forward?
Yeah, man, it's been good. Yeah, I agree. I think and sometimes we're reluctant to decide to get a coach, right? I mean, some things are easier to get coaches for than others. Like most, we grow up having a coach for soccer or baseball, or something like that, or books that you read, or mentors that you're listening to. But like having this is, we've decided kind of it's more of like a life coach, and and it can be somewhat expensive if you pour into it, but I think it's really worth it. um it's been good. We've been doing it just for a short period of time, and there's group coaching calls, and then there's individual coaching calls, and it's good to kind of just lay out like what's going on in your life, and give someone that has really just an outside view of like everything going on, and then just give ideas and opinions and thoughts towards things, and they have exercises. And I've kind of communicated with my coach that, hey, there's some, we have a lot of things going on. I have different side hustles going on. We have different streams of income, and I know there has to be a focus on like kind of one primary target. I know that. And it is good to have multiple lines of income and different streams, but at the same time, like what should I be focusing on? And I think for me, I've been really nervous about this transition, going from a steady paycheck every 2 weeks in the military to, in 5 months from now, like that goes away, and we do have retirement, which is great, but that's going to be like half, right? And now knowing that like our lines of income are going to be completely created through our effort, and that's a good thing or a bad thing, so like we can go crush it, our effort, and make a huge impact and create value and potentially make a lot of income, or not work really hard and not make a whole lot of income. And that could be a little nerve-wracking, because you don't know, like there's like you don't know where your income is going to come from. And so I communicated all that. And so one of the first exercises that he had me do was, he's like, all right, do this, list out every line of income that you have. And so take all those incomes, kind of line item them out, list them by like how much each one is, maybe put them in order of like what stream of income, highest stream of income at the top to lowest. List all those out. And then next to it, write down like how much time you put into that source of income on a weekly basis. And so, I do that. And then also write down like if it makes you happy or not. And maybe do like a 1 to 5 scale, like a happiness factor, right? Like, so I have an income stream. Next to it, or underneath it, I put like how many hours I dedicate to it on a weekly basis, and what type of like happiness factor it brings me. And it was really interesting to reflect on that and look at the income streams. And there are some income streams that I have that I put very little time into, and some of them bring me a lot of joy. And then there's others that potentially are losing money right now. I put a lot of time into, and I don't like it a whole lot, but I've been focused on it a lot because, I think that's the direction that we should be going, or I should be going. And so, we talk about that, and he's like, well, why are you putting all this time and effort into this one line of income? You're losing money and you're not happy with it. Cut it, right? Like, and start focusing on the stuff that is bringing in income and that does make you happy. And so like, that was a really good, I would have never done that if I didn't have a coach with an outside opinion and view, and like has experience talking to people and coaching. And so that was really good for me.
Yeah, man, that's, and I think it's incredible that, there you hit a number of points there, but a couple that stuck out to me. One, I think you have to be willing to sacrifice, potentially that's pride,
Yeah.
or it's money, money to pay somebody or to be part of a group that does that for you. And but I think there's huge value, like you said, in bringing somebody from that, because even if you ask me, hey, what do you think about this, because oftentimes I'll be like, well, hey, Stu, what do you think about this or that, or what would you do in this situation? It is still, there's still a huge bias there, right? Because I know you, I know your family, I know your kids, like, and there's also probably a bias that selfishly, that I may not consciously think about, like, well, how is this, if Stu makes this decision, how does this affect our businesses? You know what I mean? And so and that's just being honest. I don't, that's definitely not something that I
Yeah.
consciously think about, but it's got to be there, right? Because we're so tied in our business efforts. um So I think that outside, and I'm super excited to start plugging in with my coach. I told my coach, or I told him we did this when we go to the conference. It was November, September,
September,
whatever it
October. Yeah.
was. And I told them at that point, I'm like, look, like I really don't think I'm gonna be able to do justice to one, your time and your effort to coach someone like me, but I've just got too much going on, and we're coming to the end of this period, and so I told them January, and so I'm really excited about plugging in and seeing what they tell me, and hopefully highlighting some things, some similar things, and then as we put those things together and move forward with our businesses, I think there's a lot of goodness there.
Yeah.
So coaching is huge, right? I think coaching is a big thing. I think it's also, no matter where you are, I do think you need to start asking yourself some what seem to be basic questions, but the more people I talk to, the more I realize that you know these are not basic questions, or necessarily something that everybody's going to inherently think about. So for Erica and I, we always knew that we were going to come back here, right? It was just like we knew we had chosen, we intentionally chose Colorado, I don't know, 10 years ago. And so that everything has always had that, has always, and we felt led to come back here. So it's always been something that's been on our mind. And so it wasn't, for me, it wasn't depending on where the jobs are and that kind of thing. It was, we're going to go back to Colorado, we're going to make it work. And so, and now we're here, right? 10 years later. A lot of folks I talk to, they're like, well, it depends where the jobs are. I'm like, well, what does that mean? It depends where the jobs are. The jobs are where you look for them. Like the jobs are not going to just magically appear. You're not going to, I mean, I guess you could put a very directed search for a thing that you want to do and then see where that pops up all over the country. And that's okay. And actually, I think I'm okay with that too. Like, what's driving your decisions. You've already decided that this job that you're going to do is going to drive those decisions. But I don't typically see that level of clarity. Like someone saying, I want to be a whatever. I want to be a pilot. And a lot of actually pilots, it's probably a terrible example because a lot of times the pilots know they want to fly, they want to be pilots, but most people aren't pilots. Maybe they want to be computer, science engineers, whatever they want to be. And then they will seek that specific job and go, where that takes them. And I think that's good because you've made a decision. This is what I'm going to pursue, or it's a location, or it's a family thing, or whatever it is. But I think the time spent to determine what is going to drive your future location and effort is time well spent. And you have to do that. And you should not be reactionary. And that should probably start. I mean, it should start as early as possible. But if not, 10 years out, I mean, within a year, you should really be like, okay, this is my focus. This is where I'm going to be. This is where I'm going to spend. If you're military, this is where I'm going to do my skill bridge. This will help us get to this place or this job or exposure to whatever it is. And I think, excuse me, not being reactionary to it is very important. And I also think that there's expectation management, right? You have to have those conversations with your wife, with your husband, with whomever it is, that's also going to be impacted by those decisions. You need to be very intentional in starting to have those conversations and be like, okay, let's be super honest with each other, or your business partner, right? Like, hey, I want to do this, I don't want to do this. Let's start making a list out, and let's start being intentional about creating what it is. So I think location and or jobs, after getting a coach, location and or jobs, and figuring out what it is that's going to drive that decision, I think is super important. And then getting into the expectations and having if you don't know what you want to do, then it's pretty hard to bring in your spouse and say, hey, I really believe I was created for this. I really want to do this. I get fulfillment from this. And your spouse should do the same, right? And I think those conversations are, like, if you're not thinking about that, those should be, high on your priority list.
Yeah, man. And that reminds me of this the second exercise that I did just recently. And I actually first about this exercise on a podcast. I think it was the Bigger Pockets podcast, one of like the Sunday episodes where it's kind of more like about like mindset and stuff like that. And uh, the guest called it an elevate and delegate chart. And essentially, you basically take a piece of paper and make a quad chart. You basically make a 4 corners, and in each corner, so top left corner was I love to do this and I'm good at it. The top right corner was I love to do it but I'm not good at it. Bottom left was I don't like to do it but I'm good at it. And then the bottom right was I don't like to do it and I'm not good at it. And then again, kind of reflect on your daily schedule, reflect on everything you do on a daily basis. Maybe just list item everything out, and then from there kind of start categorizing, what you love to do and what you're good at, and put them in those categories. And it's super interesting to kind of, once you've done that, look at what you're good at, what you love to do, what you're good at but don't really like to do, and kind of look at that and see like, all right, well, where am I spending most of my time? And then you can take that chart and then compare it to your income producing chart and be like, something doesn't match up here. Like I'm doing stuff that maybe I'm not good at and I don't like to do. I'm spending a whole lot of time there and it's not really producing any income. You're like, that it doesn't make sense, right? Or if you're not really there yet, you don't have an idea of what business you want to go into, maybe that will give you a good reflection of where you want to start pursuing. Like, I really like doing this stuff. I'm really good at it. This is where I want to be. And so I think that's really helped me kind of look at the direction of where we're going and the businesses that we're starting and the ideas that we're spitting out. It gives me a good idea of what really I should be focusing on, and where my true value is and where my highest and best use is. So that was really good for me.
Yeah, I think that was Bigger Pockets, and I think it was Gino Wickman, the author of
Yeah,
Traction.
Traction. Yep. Yeah, I think he has a new book that just came out that he
Yeah.
was talking about. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and in his new book that he talked about it, I haven't read it yet. I don't even know if it's out yet, but it was, he took all these principles of traction and jet fuel and all these different things that he's written about, and has kind of, it seemed to me from the interview that he's come full circle and how to apply those things to maximize your life, right? How to maximize whether, and again, I don't know the details because I'm not sure if there was a release date for the book yet or not, but basically how you can apply all those principles that entrepreneurs can use, the EOS, to make your business better and to really maximize your productivity and all that good stuff, and apply those principles. I think there were 6 or 7 principles that he was talking about to your life and maximize your life. And I thought it was interesting because, it's at the end of the day, like, that's what we want, right? And that's what people, at least that's what we say we want, that we want to maximize our productivity in our businesses and maximize our business potential, so that we can live the life that we want to live. And
Right.
what's awesome is our group, the coaches, the coaching group that we're in, the mastermind we're a part of, is all about focusing on maximizing your life, and then make all that other stuff work too, to support that. And so I think, it's the same message, maybe from a different perspective, but at the end of the day, man, we want to maximize our life, right? We want to maximize our impact. We want to maximize, and that impact, to not be mistaken, is within our household as well. It's with our children and our wives and our communities, our church, whatever's important to you, to maximize your impact there, and not just be stuck behind a desk for 40 to 80 hours a week, just grinding, right? And so I think,
which
Um,
which for some people that's not a bad thing, right? Like if you're stuck behind a desk for 40 to 80 hours a week and you're making impact in whatever you're doing behind that desk, that's okay. I just wanted to make that kind of clear.
yeah, as long as you've intentionally, as long as you've intentionally highlighted that, right? Like
Yep.
what you see more often than not, and just being honest here, is you see people behind the desk, 70, 80 hours a week saying things like, I'm doing this for my family. That's what you see a lot,
Mm,
right? And in reality, your family wouldn't agree with you.
yeah.
That's just a reality of it. Now, if you're truly, you know, if you have set your goals and you've done all the intentional work, and even had coaches maybe pour into your life, and that's where you're supposed to be, and that's your highest and best, like, yeah, amen, brother. Like, do that.
Yeah.
Amen, sister. Like, crush it. Like, that's what you were created to do. And I don't have any judgment for any of it, right? If you're 80 hours a week behind a desk and you're saying you're doing it for your family, you're not, like, it's no judgment for me. It doesn't impact me at all. It's more, I just want to highlight that, hey, let's make an effort to determine what that highest and best is, and then honor that, right? Because we all have something to contribute. We'll have something to offer each other, and I love seeing people maximize that potential. Um, but ultimately, this all this stuff also boils down to a calendar. And I think that's one of the final points that a focus area for me. And my wife and I probably come, once the holidays are through and all our travels are done and our kids are back in school, we're going to sit down with calendars and be like, okay, this is where I expect to be every day. Because, it's different now, right? Like, there's no, when you're in the Navy, or, whatever role you're playing in the military, there's no, like, this is where I guess you could, this is where I desire to be. Here's a calendar, but, like, dude, that calendar is OBE, overcome by events as soon as you hit print. Um, or I guess we've been accused of being old. As soon as it populates onto your digital calendar.
Yeah.
But hey, man, I spent 20 years in top secret environments. There was no digital cell phone calendars. So, anyways, but my point being is that now that we have the the freedom from a W-2, and from the military kind of mandating what our calendar is going to be, it's important for my wife and I to sit down and be like, okay, she's an entrepreneur too. All right, what are the times that you need? Where do you need to, what are your weekly things? What are your are there nights that you need to go do marketing events? Are there things that you need? Like, let's plan all this stuff out, put it on a calendar, set the expectations, and then go from there, right? Be very intentional about it, because, and you can attest to it, man, and so can I. If there's not a calendar or commitments or expectations, then, dude, it's like willy-nilly, and there's a lot of fights that come from that, right? Well, I didn't realize I thought you have a call today. Well, yeah, I had set it up last week. Well, I wasn't tracking that, so, we have a Christmas party to go to. Oh, well, I guess and then you have a choice, right? You either go to the Christmas
Cancel the
party,
call or yeah, go to
or
the
you
Christmas
cancel the
party.
call, and hope your guest or whatever understands. But you can
Yeah.
avoid those situations, right? You don't want to be the dad that misses Christmas parties. At least I don't want to be. And you also don't want to be the business owner that cancels meetings with clients all the time
Yeah.
because you failed to plan, right? Um that calendar is an important piece, and I think that should be a family event.
Yeah. Yeah. And it could, dude, it's hard going from, you know, our pretty much our schedules for the most part were created for us, right? In the military, like you show up at a certain time, you have meetings at a certain time, you have requirements that are due at a certain time, you leave work on a certain time, and that's all set for you. Well, when you turn into this entrepreneur world, like you set your own schedule, and that could be a good thing or a bad thing, and you can go to one extreme or the other. And what I've found so far, in the few short months that I've kind of already transitioned, um, is being accountable to that schedule. Like saying you want a schedule versus being accountable to that schedule and actually performing that schedule are two very different things. And just like you're talking about, like having the communication with your spouse, with your business partner, putting it actually on a calendar and talking about that, like what you got going on, can be really helpful. And but then there's also something, like I really want to. I told myself I want to really be more involved with my kids and taking them to school and helping around the house and going to every event that I possibly could. I have a 4-year-old son, he's in preschool. He gets out from school at noon 11:30 every day, and then he's home from like noon on, and trying to get work done at home at my home office when my preschooler is home, it's impossible. And so I've quickly found that like uh, distractions are really challenging when I'm trying to get anything done. So again, you have to kind of like look at that and plan like, all right, if I need to be on a call where there's not kids screaming in the background or coming and knocking on my door or walking in on a meeting, like that has to be done during this period. And then like, we were talking to our other friend, Steven, and he made a comment that kind of really stuck with me too. Like there's this idea of deep work, and distractions can like, you know, cut that out big time, like really fast. A to take a break and go help bring groceries in from the car, when the wife goes to the grocery store, it's not a 10-minute evolution. It's probably like a 30-minute evolution or a 45-minute evolution, because you got to stop what you're doing, stop your train of thought, go get groceries, take them, bring them in the house, put them away. And then it takes a while to get back that train of thought and get back into that rhythm again. Now, there's a book called Deep Work by Cal Newport, and it's really, really good. And I highly recommend reading it. But you got to think about that. Like, you got to get distractions out of your life. And I haven't been successful at that yet. And that's going to take me again sitting down with my wife, figuring out calendars, schedules. Like I need to go away, if my son's home, and focus, calendar block things, and so yeah, it's challenging, man.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, we still have to
Still have
create
to,
income, still have
and
to pay
now
the
now it's on
bills,
us. Now it's on us
and
to
now it's
create
on
income.
us, right? And
Yeah.
now it's on us. The Navy is not going to pay me for uh, being a bum, where it used to pay me for being a bum
Well,
for 20 years.
kinda. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's an interesting thing. It's important, but again, and a common theme that we talk about all the time, and I can't emphasize it enough, is intentionality. I mean, it's there's so many different ways, and there's so many ways that I'm not intentional, that life happens to me. But my encouragement is don't allow retirement or a transition or whatever. Don't allow that to happen to you, right? Choose it. You're making a choice. You're making a choice to get out. It should be a choice. Well, maybe not, everybody's not necessarily making a choice. Maybe the Navy or the military or your current employer is making that choice for you. But at the end of the day, it is inevitable. There's gonna be a transition, and don't allow it to happen to you. Have a plan. Have contingencies. Have be intentional. At least have a big picture, because I tell you, people that don't have a big picture in life, and you see it every single day, people every single day, life happens to them, and it's almost like a confusion, like, well, I don't know what happened. I don't. And even the way we use our language, there's a great, it wasn't, I don't remember if it was a TED talk or not, but this guy, he said, he dropped an apple and he caught it, and he started talking about, I actually got his book. I'll have to highlight that next time. But he talks about how people, the language we even use nowadays, especially with our kids and addressing it, is, oh, the apple fell. And he goes, what happened here? And he drops it, right? And he catches it. And he goes, well, what happened? And people, even people in the audience, said, well, the apple fell. He's like, the apple didn't fall. I dropped the apple. Like, that's what happened. I dropped the apple. So own it. you're going to drop the apple, or some point you're going to make a decision, or maybe you're not going to necessarily drop the apple, but what you're going to do, your reaction to that, you're going to be dropping an apple and you're going to be making a decision. You're going to be doing a thing. And why not be prepared for that? When you know what's going to happen, don't allow it to happen to you. And even the language that we use to be intentional, prepare for those situations, I think is so, so important. And dude, I'll tell you, I never want the words, the apple fell, to come out of my mouth again. Right.
Yeah.
And so as as we approach this new phase of our lives, what are we doing to make the success happen, to drive the community to get built, to be influencers, to be impact, to make impact? What are the things that we're doing? Because it's not just going to happen, and nobody's going to give it to you. And really, quite frankly, outside of your immediate friends and family, nobody cares.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody cares. Nobody cares that you they're not going to feel sorry for you, right? And so you have to make it happen. And it's not
Yeah.
all about grind and hustle. It's not about that. It's intentional planning to set up a calendar and have a vision for what you want to achieve and getting after it, right? And if family's not built, if family's important to you and it's not built into that vision and that calendar, well, then start over. You're wrong, because you'll fill that calendar with other things.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's super important, building the life vision. That was another exercise that we did. And it's a work in progress, right? But if you guys haven't read the book Life in Air, it's awesome.
Yep.
And it will really give you a perspective of like what's important in your life. And that was the catalyst for you and me to really think about that, and then join that group and get some coaching. And I have now written a full-blown life vision, and it breaks it down into categories, and I read it every morning, and it fires me up. Like like I get super excited about what my life looks like, and it drives my decisions. So if you don't have something like that, I really recommend doing it. And you can go to an event to do it, or, I mean, I'd be happy to kind of talk about some of the stuff that has helped me with that. And, let's jump on a call and we can talk through kind of the stuff. I'll read you mine, um, so that is super important. So read the book Life in Air, work on writing a life vision. There's another book, Vivid Vision, that's also that's more of like the business Vivid Vision, and then Life in Air is kind of more like the life vision. And then another book I just recently read that I think is super important that will help you with it is Who Not How. You got to think about who can help you create this life that you want, not how. And really leverage, really thinking about your return on time, leveraging people to help you get to the stage that you want to be. So that's super important too.
Awesome, dude. Well, I think there was a lot of good conversation. I know I like these podcasts with you and I, because we both kind of have our things that we're thinking about, and I'm super pumped to get back at my life vision, to start attacking that, and really putting some time into refining mine, and allowing that to drive, for me, what's important to me. And the good thing is, I think you and I are very much aligned in a lot of the most important things for our visions, but not everything, obviously. And I think it's important to really highlight those, because someone else's vision could become your vision too. And Rick Warren
Sure.
talks about that a lot, right? He talks about that a lot. Like, hey, a lot of people are living for their expectations with what their mother or their father set, and that's
Yeah.
just not what we were created to be. So yeah,
Yeah.
take control.
I've intentionally not sent you my life vision because I don't want it to have an impact on you writing. You
And
having yours.
I've intentionally not asked you for yours.
Yeah.
So no, I think there's a lot of goodness there. So yeah, man, I appreciate it. I learned a lot. I think there's a ton of content here, and hopefully some of it will be useful for somebody out there. I know we recently received an email, a gentleman that you had a conversation with, but then he listened to one of our podcasts, and the awesome part about it, it wasn't you and I, it was one of our guests really spoke life into his situation. And man, that's all you can hope for, right? Like, we always get life spoken into us by our guests, but knowing that other people are gaining value from the people that we're having on the podcast is amazing. If it helps one person to give them confidence or joy or the ability to better themselves is freaking awesome. So super excited about that, and hopefully this will be meaningful and useful to folks as they look to potentially transition either out of the military or into another phase of life. And like Stu said, if you want to reach out and chit chat with us, by no means are we highly qualified to answer anything but what we're doing and the efforts that we're doing, and how it's impacted our lives, and how we think it's made us, hopefully made us better human beings and better fathers, husbands, sons, Stu, daughters, like, for everything that we're doing. So yeah, man, exciting stuff.
I'm not a daughter to somebody. I have a daughter, but I'm not a daughter to somebody.
You're not?
Yeah.
Oh, my mistake. All right, dude. It was awesome.
All right. Hey, hope everybody had a very Merry Christmas.
Yeah, man.
And hey, let's get excited about the new year. The next podcast will be coming out after New Year's for 2022, and take some time, like, reflect on what you did this year, and then also reflect on where you want to be. And don't make empty goals. We're going to talk probably more about goals on our next podcast. But yeah, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, fill your storehouse, go crush it, do awesome things.
Feliz Navidad. Feliz Año Nuevo. That means Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, Stuart, in Spanish.
Okay.
I want to make sure we're touching
Thanks.
all of our folks. All right, brother. Did you say go fill your storehouse?
I said go fill your storehouse.
Well,
go give us 5-star reviews.
Go give us 5-star reviews. Have a
Share
Merry
this.
Christmas. Crush it. Make it a great day. Make it a Merry Christmas. And hugs and kisses. French fries, fist bumps, all that good stuff.
High fives, fist bumps, French fries. See ya.
Peace.